I'm here today with two of the men behind Cabin Boy Jump Ship to talk about their latest record, Sentiments, out right now on AFM Records. And I think if you haven't picked it up yet, then it's your loss, because you should. This record is absolutely magnificent. I just put out my list of my favorite albums for the month of May, and you guys made the list with Sentiments. Magnificent album. So first thoughts is, how has the feedback been since the album? I know it's a short time, but what's the feedback been like since the album been out?
Feedback's been incredible so far. Like actually mad. Like we actually just got a message about 10 minutes ago that there's a nightclub in South Korea currently playing our music out there. So just the actual like extension of how far we've gone around the world just from this album has been incredible. So we can only thank you to everyone who's been posting about it, sharing it to their friends. It's been an incredible growth. That's all I can say, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
When you guys set out to make this record, did you guys have goals? Did you guys have expectations that you put on yourselves, on the band, and on what you wanted the album to be?
Yeah, with every release we've ever done, I feel like with the quality of songwriting, recording, and it's always evolved and grown. This album has definitely matured in the sound. That's what we tried to aim for as well. With the synths, obviously that our last album was very heavily synths over the top of the music, was very dominant throughout the album. And then this album, we wanted to try and kind of mature that sound and focus on the melodic side and the more emotional elements to the album.
What is the starting point for you guys when it comes to start working on a record? I mean, did you guys start to put like a board together of points of items that you want to hit, or is the process a little bit more organic as you guys are jamming, songs start to come along, and then you have material to put an album together?
It's we actually live across the country from each other, so it's hard to organize lots of like practice and recording sessions with each other. So
as well.
Yeah, well, obviously the COVID hit, we're all in lockdown, so that made it even harder. But our writing process is mainly that I do most of the writing and recording at home, and then I'll send the guys in the band the tracks, and they'll say, oh, I like this riff, I like that part of the song, oh, that's cool. And then I'll take that information and build on that and to create the song and eventually the album that we released yesterday.
When I started listening to this album, that opening track was so important to me, because I felt like it not only sets up the song that comes after, Demons, it sets up the whole record in terms of what the experience, what the mood, what the atmosphere is all about. How much work do you guys put into the structure of the album once you have the songs that you feel are the right ones to make this?
Well, that intro was actually an accident for a start. It was a really good accident. But yeah, we're very happy with the way it come out. And as Reece is probably going to explain, we properly put each song in its specific position for a reason, which, as Reece would probably say now.
Yeah, so with the intro, that was originally just Demons. That was leading into the Demons track as just a song. It was never just Sentiments. And then our record label said, oh, we should split it into like its own track, and that would be like the intro to the album. And we agreed. We thought that was a great idea. And then even with when we were making the intro, if you listen to the lyrics that obviously are like a speech over the top of the track, it mentions every song in the album. So it like you say, it does set up the album brilliantly. And then like Jayke said, all the tracks are positioned in a certain place that we feel like the lyrics mean something as you listen along the album, basically.
You mentioned earlier the sound that was on the first record, a lot more electronically driven versus the sound on this album. So if you have to define the evolution of the band as far as the sound experience is concerned, what do you feel is the item on this record that stands out as perhaps the the ultimate moment of that same evolution that you guys have seen across these two records?
That's a good question. I'm not sure, to be honest. I feel, I don't know. Don't know how to answer that question.
You can
We'll
always
come back
pass
to
the baton. I mean, that's why there's two of you here. You guys can tag team.
Well, what do you
I
reckon,
wouldn't have had
Jake?
to answer it either. It's a
I
difficult.
don't know. With the evolution of the sounds, with, like I said earlier, it's definitely matured in a way that it's not. It's our last album was very in your face with the synths. It was more of like a party electronical vibe. With this one, we've focused mainly on melodies and the emotion that the album portrays. So it definitely does. It definitely a lot different to our last album, and definitely stands out a lot more, I think, in my own opinion. Anyway,
We wanted to grow not only like as a band but as musicians as well. We wanted to challenge ourselves, like because before you could literally just have 4 chords in a song and a breakdown, and then just have the backing tracks just carry the song, and that was predominantly some of the old album, some of the older EPs. Whereas this song, we wanted to challenge ourselves guitar wise, keep the electronic sound, but not make that the dominant thing. Make the riff, make the structure, just the whole general vibe of the song.
Yeah.
The standout thing, not just the backing tracks and the synths.
Yeah, so it's the instrumentals are more interesting to listen to. There's a lot more going on with the guitars, the bass, the drums, the vocals and melodies, and the synths. Whereas the last album was, it had more of like a basic feel to it when it comes to like structure and riffs and stuff like that. Still got some great riffs in the old album and great melodies as well going for it, but we've definitely tried to push ourselves with achieving better songwriting abilities, basically.
You know, that was the first thing that surprised me when I pressed play on the record, was that I was expecting the album to be a lot more electronically driven. And I feel like the album was actually a lot more guitar driven throughout the entire experience. The electronic elements are still there, no doubt, but they're not in your face necessarily from beginning to end. And that allows you to appreciate the record a little bit deeper. It allows to connect with the sound a little bit deeper. Is this something that we're going to see more from you guys going forward?
I think I have started writing some new songs for the next album, and it's the synths have always been in our music, and even when you go back to like the first EP, that was very heavily synth driven, and even in this album, we have songs like Deluded and Demons that have synths all the way through, and I don't think we'll ever, not have synths in. That there will always be synths in the songs. That's what Cabin Boy is, but I feel like in the next album we'll probably push some more synths in there, not as heavily as what it used to be, but more strategically placed to be fitting for the song.
When it comes to the lyrical content, how personal are you guys willing to go as far as the lyrics are concerned?
Personal.
Yeah, this album it's definitely a lot personal for us as a band, especially me and Connor writing the lyrics. With the last couple of albums, it was more of what came to our head, what we liked the sound of. And this album, I sat down and I was like, I want to make something that connects to us and that we can make that will connect to fans as well. With some of the songs, they do have, for us, we know exactly what they mean, but for the fans, they can interpret it how they want to. Basically, that's how we tried to write it. And with how personal we want to go, there are some definitely personal stories, not some that we can actually mention. But the whole theme of the album is very, has that dark kind of lyrical content, feeling self-doubt, feeling lonely, feeling depressed and whatever. So we've all felt that, must have felt that in the last couple of years. I think we can all connect to that.
This album has that beauty of you guys kind of peeling the veil a little bit and letting the fans see who you guys are beyond the musicians, but the people that make the music. And you see that in the sound, you see that in the lyrics, And I think that is the reason why this album is connecting with so many people. Do you feel like you kind of caught lightning in the bottle a little bit?
What do you mean by that reference, lightning in the bottle? Never heard of that reference.
You never heard of that? It's like
No.
something that's very difficult to do, right? It's nearly impossible to catch lightning in the bottle. So it's something that happens very organically, but not necessarily something that happens all the time. So it's almost like a happy surprise that kind of comes together. I think that's the best way to describe it. I'm probably butchering the description because I know what it is in my mind, but it's kind of hard to put it into words.
I'm not sure. We've worked so hard to make this as best as we can. So, I mean, I feel like we've definitely done enough to achieve what we have achieved so far. The amount of effort we've put into this is definitely paying off as people are listening to it, and the album is over 800,000 plays on Spotify already. And you know, we've put so much effort into making this album. I feel like it's earned.
It's paying off.
We really appreciate everyone checking it out. As I said, the numbers have definitely grown from like previous records. So like we're very happy, and obviously all the it's been 3 years of work for this album. Like the start of lockdown, we was getting ready to tour, and then when lockdown happened, we was like, right, well, what do we do? Let's start on the next album. So literally since the first lockdown up until now, it's just under 3 years. Well, actually, I think it's over 3 years. It's just been absolute grind. So
Nothing is by chance. Nothing was by chance. It was all hard work. It was all hard work. When you look at the tracks on this album, which song was perhaps the one that you felt was most challenging to get it to where you needed to be?
That will either be Smile or Low, because even in the studio, we was still working
rewriting parts for me.
Yeah, me and Reece just sat in the little booth bit at the back, and like literally still changing it whilst we're in the studio. Even with Smile, when we left the studio, and even after the mix and master, we still went back and edited it again. We just could not get it perfect. Like if you heard the version of Smile that we left the studio with compared to what it is now, it's not the same song at all. It's completely changed lyrics wise, the backing tracks wise. There was not even
the intro.
No violins. The intro, absolutely everything on Smile is completely different from the way we went into the studio with it. Even left the studio with it. It's a completely different song. Low as well was a very, very hard song to like everyone just to be happy with. But obviously the way they've come out now is just we're so happy with them. So those two, Smile and Low, were the most challenging ones.
Reece, I have to ask you this question. My wife says I can't multitask. She says that man can multitask. I see you singing and playing drums. You're the living proof that man can totally multitask, but how the hell do you do it?
You know what? People ask me this question all the time, and I don't know what to say to them. I practiced, I started learning drums when I was about 13, 14 years old. So that's like 11 years ago now. So, you know, like when you play it for so long, you can sit on a drum kit and you can just play and don't even think about it. And when I had my first band, that was 15, and I was singing in that. So, you know, after playing so many years, the same things over and over again, using the same instruments over and over again, putting two and two together, you know, it's just, it seems easy, but it's the same with like, you know, people playing guitar and singing at the same time. It's just that I use all the part of my body instead of just my hands and my voice.
Yeah, like when I joined Cabin Boy, I could scream and I could play bass, but I could never do the two together. I just didn't know how to. My hands were strumming here, and I'm trying to produce a vocal. I just couldn't do it. But obviously, after playing the songs over and over again, getting used to what I'm playing with my hands, I'm now like doing quite a lot of backup vocals in the band. So it is just a lot of practice, like for both of us anyway. So
by the way, I love watching your videos because you guys have such a cool energy in the videos. I love listening to the music, but then when you watch the videos, you're like, these guys are some cool cats, because not only they're making great music, You're also rocking with great style, and that adds so much energy. It really pumps the crowd when we see musicians enjoying what they're doing to the fullest. And you guys definitely do that in your music video. So I want to thank you for that. And since we're touching on the vocals, how do you guys find room for everybody? Like, do you guys like pick a straw and the one that gets the larger straw gets the most vocals on a track? Is that how it works?
No, it's when I'm writing, normally I start with the instrumentals and then I go to the vocals, right, the lyrics and the melodies. And it depends on how the song is structured. You know, I'll listen to a verse and be like, okay, this seems to fit cleans better than it would screams. So then I'd do the cleans, and then the next part along would be the screams, and it just varies on different tracks. So just whatever I feel like sounds the best, really.
When it comes to you using your growls, like you said, you're getting more used to it, playing the bass and doing that. Is that something that you feel like it complements what you add to the sound of Cabin Boy?
With me, I only do like a lot of backups. I've got some vocals on the new album, but it is just backing. It's very hard to hear. Like, but with Connor, with his vocals, he really challenged himself with this record because he wanted to try a different like vocal technique when he was doing his screams. So he put a lot of different ways of doing it, because normally he'd just do his highs and lows, and with his lows, we found this new technique for him when we was in the studio, funny enough, of doing like a low and a guttural and then layering it, and then that's how the low that you hear on the record comes out. It's just a mixture between his lows and a guttural together, so that's how like he gets that really cool sound. But with me, my screams are very kind of more shouty, fry screams. I'm not really good at lows, so I'm, as I said, just doing backups for now. But it's just a lot of practice to kind of get where I am. I will be doing some vocal lessons soon to try and improve my vocal, because as we move forward, we're going to look at trying getting a few harmonies in, because there's a lot of harmonies on the record. So singing wise and screaming wise, I will be trying to improve on that. So
I expect on a future track for you to push Connor out of the way and say, "Get the fuck out of the way," and then just kind of fucking go nuts on it.
I did a lot more vocals on the last album on the Heartless. I did mainly a lot of vocals on the song "The Flood" that we did a music video for. But as you can hear my vocals in there, that's more predominant. That's not backup. I was just doing like my own sort of lines in that. But as you can hear in there, it's very like a one tone sort of scream. That as I said, I do look at it trying to improve in the future.
What do you guys feel was the most rewarding aspect of working on this album?
The most rewarding aspect?
Having it finally finished and released. I mean, we recorded this album back in, was it
September 2019?
2020, first year of COVID, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And now it's just come out yesterday, so it's been a long time in the making. And I mean, we finished it in September, October time, and then it took another year to actually finish the masters and get it to an record label, and then have that whole album process come out. So finally getting it released after nearly 2 years of having it finished, that is probably the most rewarding aspect for me. Yeah. Sitting on an album for so long and just wanting it to be out there for people to listen to, it's like torture.
For those out there that haven't discovered you guys, that haven't heard to the record, haven't heard the album, what would you say to a person that has never heard the band, and give them a reason to press play on this album?
What are you doing? Come on, get at it.
What are you doing?
What are you waiting for?
I mean, it's the best music we've released to date, with like the songwriting and the musical ability that we've added to this album. So, I mean, if you're fans of Eskimo Callboy, or Electric Callboy, should I say, and then As I Lay Dying, Architects, all the metalcore bands, electronical bands, you know, we have a lot of elements from so many bands. So I would definitely say check us out.
Yeah,
just
go
trying
ahead.
to think of what I'd say, like, because I get a lot of people asking, like, what do you sound like? And the only way I say it is like we're like a metal band, but with like electronic backings, but there's a lot of clean singing, and then I try and like get them interested by saying our drummer's our lead singer. So,
Yeah, it's definitely a selling point. I'll tell you that much. It's definitely a selling point.
yeah.
One last question for you guys, and perhaps the most important one, or at least the most important one for me, because I'm being a little bit selfish right now. When will I see you guys in Toronto? When will we see you guys in North America?
Do you know what? It's funny you say that. We actually had a Canada tour booked, like, and it was supposed to be in August. And the only reason I can say that now is because it's not happening. We all got booked, all got finalized, but then just somewhere down the line, along the West Coast, there was a big amount of shows that all just got cancelled at the same time. Nothing to do with us, nothing to do with the guy who was helping book it, but they all got cancelled. So the guy who we was working with, he's just basically said, look, I'm just going to reschedule the whole thing. So let's put it this way. We are in talks with a guy is sorting it out, and we will be coming to Canada. And the only reason, we want to go to Canada, but we also want to do the US as well. But the US visas are just so ridiculously expensive for us in the UK. So we want to go to Canada first because there is no visa things there. So we will definitely be in Canada a lot sooner than you think. But we're just waiting for the guy, our US and North America booking agent, to sort all that out for us. But it's definitely happening.
So I'm definitely going to see some Cabin Boy Jump Ship in Toronto. Wow. This is going to be epic. This is going to be epic. You guys better have some strong security because I'm planning on getting rowdy there. I'm planning on getting rowdy there. So you guys better get prepared.
Kicked out before it starts.
You guys got to get prepared. So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. And thank you very much for taking the time today, man. You guys are a phenomenal bunch. I really enjoyed this record. I really needed this record. I needed a record that had this kind of power and impact lyrically and musically. So thank you very much for it. One of my favorite albums of the month, top 5 of the month for me, as far as I'm concerned. Just incredible album. Everybody should pick up this record. Everybody should go buy and support you guys. You definitely deserve every single thing that comes your way. Every single thing that's good that comes your way.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.